Go ahead. And I'm going to record to the cloud. All right. Thank you everyone for joining me today. I am so excited about this session that we have today. We have open Q&A and we are looking to, let me just pull this up. Oh, sorry. Speaker, here we go. So today we have a special guest with me, Adam Musselmani and his mom, Raina. And I am just really excited. I have worked with this little guy who is now has a nice deep voice and is getting taller and sprouting into a young man. But I have such a warm place in my heart for Adam. He has been an author and loves writing and reading. He is just has immersed himself. This is not a child who started by having an idea and then parents took over and published this book. This is a young man who loves writing and who has an imagination that is just incredible. Humor. I love his stories. My grandkids love the stories. And he is now getting ready to publish book number 3 at the age of 12. Adam, I'm so glad to have you here, and your mom, Raina, who has been such a support for you. Tell me a little bit more about what got you started on writing and the love that you have for writing. Where did that begin?
Well, I feel like my entire life I've had a huge passion for creative writing, coming up with my own stories, my own plots, adding little twists to them, making them interesting, of course, making them funny and enjoyable. And so there, before I began to write my first book, VIP Fruits, the original, I the idea originated back to when I was like 4 years old, like preschool, around that time. And so what sparked the idea was the thought of inanimate objects coming to life, which isn't just fruits and veggies. It can literally be anything. But the main idea was fruits and veggies just coming to life, like jumping everywhere, making a huge mess in the kitchen. And that really just sparked the idea for VIP Fruits. And after I published VIP Fruits, there were certain holidays and events like Christmas that inspired me to write my second book, VIP Fruits: A Beautiful Christmas. And then it just went on from that until now, until I recently published my third book.
Love it. So what do you feel like the most important thing with coming up with stories, as far as where does the inspiration come from? Is it just your imagination? Are there other things that help to spark that creativity?
Ooh, I'd like to say that's a good question. It's mostly my imagination, but a big thing, in my opinion, other than when I was 4, imagining all these absurd events happening. There was one instance when I was in 4th grade. I'm in 7th now, so that was like 3, 4 years ago. So what happened was we had this English homework, and we had to like write this story in our journals, uh, just about really anything, creative writing, maybe include some spelling words in it. And I was really like interested, and I was dedicated. I was committed because at the time I was really enjoying writing, just like now. I was enjoying it. I was getting into it. And so I decided that I would go onto like a Word doc or a Google Doc. I can't really remember. But I wrote this story about a banana named Joe. And so Joe lived in this like mushroom village. The houses were mushrooms. His friend was a strawberry, and his other friend was like an apple. And the story didn't really have a plot. It was just discussing and narrating Joe's life and how he was grateful for all the things that he had in his life and how he was feeling so blessed for everything that he had. And so something that I really smile at when I think back to that time that I made that story was when I would include spaces. I would press like the return button, like return, 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 in between each paragraph. So I would leave a space. And once I printed it all out, there were spaces between the paragraphs. And I would draw these pictures that would just come from my creativity that depicted and described the mushroom village and whatever I really felt like drawing. And so that was really one of the huge sparks that gave me the idea of VIP fruits. A banana not named Joe, but named Albert. A strawberry not named a side character, but named as a main character, Barry. And an apple named Dave. And so that was the main spark that
I
really.
love it. I love it. I love it. So tell us about this third book, the newest one that came out. I just was laughing hysterically the first time I saw the cover, and I could tell that it came from your imagination, and it is just so much fun. I'm going to take myself off of Spotlight so that you can hold up the cover of your book and so that people can see what you've got designed for the cover.
Yeah, so I designed this cover myself.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
and what really got me to write this book was the upcoming 2024 United States presidential election. So I really saw that as an opportunity to write a book not directed towards adults who are typically in this modern world the target audience for politics, but targeted towards an audience of children, maybe my age, younger, because the main point of this book is to simplify the emotions and drives that people feel, especially in political competitions, to win. And so this book is not only like a way that I express my humor and storytelling, and also the 2024 election, but it's also a way that I can explain to kids that are very young, at a young age, in a simple and funny way, how politics not necessarily works, but how it gets people feeling and why it's so important in today's world and why it's just very significant to many of the political leaders.
I love it. And and it's Parker the Pickle, is that right? Who has the Donald Trump hairdo and all of that stuff. I love it. I just think it is so creative, and I think that the kids are going to love it. And it is, tell us, when is it going to be available? How can people find it? And what can we do to support the efforts that you have on for this book and also some of the future things that you're doing with your writing career?
Okay. So this book was actually recently published, like very recently, like this month, a few weeks ago. So it's available right now at the moment. And you can purchase it, all of you, on Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, soon to be in stores at Barnes and Noble. You can get the Kindle version, online versions, anywhere where books are sold. You can purchase this copy of the book, as well as the other two members of the VIP Fruit series.
Is this the third and final book in the series, or do you have others coming, Adam?
As unfortunate as it seems, this is the final book of the series. And the reason for that is I just want to move on to a more mature level of writing. And so this series was an inspiration for my very young and innocent like mind. And so I feel like now that I've matured more, it's time that I write um books that are directed towards a slightly older audience. And so that's
Mhm.
the kind of writing and literature I want to start producing.
Amazing. I'm going to also just bring your mom forward. Raina, what an amazing young man that you have here. Tell us and tell the other parents that are here, how did you encourage this kind of creativity, and what can parents do to foster this in our own kids?
Hello, April. Thank you so much for having me and Adam. As always, you have been an amazing support for every indie author nowadays, and we're so grateful for you. Actually, it all happened by accident. During the pandemic, I discovered that Adam has the talent of storytelling. And of course, I'm not a writer myself, and I know nothing about writing. So I was wondering whether what Adam have is something legit and something he can go forward with. So I had to consult with people who know more from me about writing. And then when they confirmed with me that Adam has the ability to write, I said, you know what? I'm not gonna let this go. I'm gonna encourage him, and if he's gonna be able to produce a good, you know, piece of literature, I'm going to publish it for him. I'm going to do everything I can in my power to publish it for him. And I want to add a very important thing. It's not a task. What Adam has is not a task. And it's very important for parents to know that. This should not be a task. It can be any talent. Your child is showing any talent, just
Right.
encourage them in a very happy way that they can freely, produce. Don't make it a task. Don't make it a burden on them. Adam has the will to write anytime he wants. So, and that's, I think, what helped him go forward with his writings.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that I think is really unique with Adam and how this came together is that he was involved every step of the way. How did you encourage that? Because when he started, how old was he? 8?
He was 8 years old when he finished his first draft.
Wow.
But then he knew that, a huge the most important thing about writing is editing, and no one can edit for Adam. Adam has to edit for himself, and I think that what helped him feel the seriousness of the project he's handling. He edited and edited and added more ideas and fixed the manuscript, and he went on and on. I'm so proud of him. I hope he can continue writing. I mean, that's all what I have to say.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I just want to applaud your efforts and the support that you've shown to Adam. Adam, can you talk a little bit about the process that going through the editing process with Joanne Sky, and then also, the illustrations, and what was your favorite part, and how involved were you in these things, especially for the new book, but even early on, I think it's a very unique story.
Um, well, um, a big part of my writing journey that I've picked up along my career so far is that editing is not it's a myth that editing is some short, brief fixing up of the first draft. Editing, if you want to produce a incredible final draft compared to the first draft, you have to go through multiple rounds of editing, and you have to make sure that all the grammar, not only the grammar, but the plot, it makes sense, it flows well. There's so many aspects to editing that you just have to get right, because when it comes to all the rounds of editing, each round of editing is different, right? So there's one that's for like grammar and spelling and stuff like that. And another round could be for fluidity in the chapters. So each round of editing, which I've learned is there's like 2, 3, maybe even 4
Mhm.
rounds of editing. I've learned that each round we focus on a certain aspect of the book that's important during that round. So yeah.
Yeah, I want to add one thing, April, and of course, Joanne and Adam, of course, he wanted to elaborate more about Mrs. Sky. Joanne played a huge role, and she helped Adam a lot and enlighten him with some aspects that she is able to see more than Adam, and they would, go back and forth together, elaborate more on things. And Adam, sometimes he has his own opinion, Joanne has her own opinion, but at the end, it all worked out really fine.
Yes. I'm looking
Because
at the comments in the chat. Totally love this. Congratulations and how inspiring. So awesome. I think, Adam, you're going to be inspiring a lot of kids. And what you've accomplished is something that, gosh, 95% of the world can't say, even adults, right? So let's talk a little bit and shift gears and talk about the illustrations. I would love to hear from your perspective about how did you find your illustrator? How has that partnership between the two of you developed over the past 4 years?
well, me and my illustrator have had a very good relationship throughout my writing journey. She has been with me. Her name is Laura Liberator. And she has been illustrating for me. With me, I provided some ideas too since the first book. Sorry, the second book and the third book. So she's been with me along this whole ride, and it's really been amazing. She is something else when it comes to drawing. I mean, the attention to detail that she puts into her work, it's absolutely phenomenal. And there's not one thing that I would change about her work. It's absolutely incredible. Um, the her use of colors, her use of facial expressions and the characters. I mean, it's just it's
It's
amazing.
not easy to capture humor in the way that the two of you have in this series. So I agree. It's a special relationship.
Yeah.
So as I watch your growth and your development, one thing that I really see is how much you've blossomed as an author, also as a marketer, and how confident and well spoken you are. Tell us a little bit about how that has happened and how have you been marketing your book, and how has this process helped you to grow in confidence as well?
Well, of course, each day I'm trying to do better, putting my book out there, marketing. The main use of marketing that I have is through social media, um, which is mainly on Instagram. Um, and so I post relating to my book probably like 1, 2 times a week, and I just really want to not be too serious in my marketing. I want to add some playfulness and humor in there, so um, people get the gist. They understand like, oh, this is like a humorous author who's published a funny book, and um he just wants us to try it out and read it. So that's yeah, but all the time I'm just trying to think of better ways to market. Um, and of course I can improve on marketing. All of us can improve on marketing, and that's what I'm trying to do at the moment right now.
Are you also doing any kind of speaking, or are you, doing presentations at your school and other things that would help you get the word out about your book there?
Well, I've done different speakings before, not at my school, but there's a possibility, most likely it will happen soon, so I can get the word out to the school. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that you are going to be quite an inspiration for others, and in just helping kids learn how to take what they love and use their imagination and get out there and do what, and building that marketing finesse, the marketing muscles that I can see and hear your elevator pitch about your book and where they can buy it and all of the special things that have made you the author that you are today. And I just want to say, Adam, I am so very proud of you. And I'm so happy to have been a part of this journey. Many of you will be looking for, where can I get this? So Adam, share a little bit about how people can follow up with you, where they can follow you, social media. I'll put the link to the book in the chat as well for those who are interested in grabbing it.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram, simply Adam Musselmani. It's AdamMussesselmani, and the same thing on Facebook. So yeah, that's how you can follow me and support me on my social media.
Wonderful. And any other recommendations? So if there are parents out there watching this or kids that come across this video, what would you say for a child who's just getting ready, or a parent who thinks, gee, my kid is so creative, I'd like to do something like this for my child? Any parting wisdom or recommendations that you have for those folks?
Well, to the parents, and I think my mom really said this very well. Seek and find your child's potential, and like my mom said, don't force them, don't burden them and don't make it like a task, but really try to push them a bit and try to find their potential and use it, and see where it goes. Whatever they're passionate about, whatever they're good at, try to get them to pursue it. That's
wonderful advice. And what about for the kids who are thinking about writing? Any ways that you would share about how to get started?
Well, it's as simple as just taking out a piece of paper and just jotting down ideas, and you just take it from there. Many people they're not sure where to start, but it doesn't necessarily matter where you take your first step. It doesn't matter how large that first step is, as long as you take a first step. And so that can, for me, where that started for me, is when I wrote this movie script when I was 7 years old. And I took it serious, but looking back on it, it wasn't movie material. But what's important is that I took a step towards writing, whether it's a book or a screenplay, and I used that as an opportunity to pursue writing. And so as long as you just take that first step, you'll find your way no matter what.
I love that. I love that. And Raina, I'm going to give you an opportunity to speak to the parents as well. And any parting words from your perspective for those who have creative kids like yours?
Yeah, you know what? I think it's very important. I think every child has a talent somehow, somewhere. I'm a mother of 4 children, and my children are so different, with their talents. And I think our children deserve our attention. If you feel that your child has a talent, it can be any talent. It can be music, it can be art, it can be dance. It is so worth it to give them our time and attention. I think that because I have witnessed that so many talent, so I have seen kids with talents but the talent was wasted because the parents did not work on that talent and help that the kid like just go forward with the talent. So I mean, and again, as I said, don't burden your child and make it a task. Make it fun. Make it something that he really wants to like hold them responsible for accomplishing their talent, and you are the person who's in the back, pushing them forward little by little.
Yeah, you inspired, you encouraged.
Yes.
And I think that watching that creativity unfold and the growth is just inspiring to so many. So thank you both for sharing
Thank
your story with us today. You are absolutely welcome to hang out with us. And actually, I'd like to open it up for, this is FAQs or open Q&A. So does anybody have questions for Raina or for Adam that you'd like to ask? Go ahead, AJ.
I love the idea of your books, your stories. I'm still struggling to get mine out, so I feel I feel like a kindergartner here, and you're probably in college somewhere. So so congratulations on that. And I actually just started trying to write a. So I've been trying to work on picture books, but now I just tried to work on a early chapter book. So, so my question, I actually have a couple for you, is how were you able to go from one chapter to another in your books, or because it looks like it's a early chapter book. And I'm glad you mentioned the fluidity, because that's what I'm trying to go back, and I'm realizing, hey, I had this character doing this, now it's someone else. So that's one question. And the second question is, have you thought about venturing into being a consultant of some type, whether it's a reader or something, for those of us who need a child's point of view, a young person's point of view? Thank you.
Okay, so may I please get the first question again? So I was
Sure. So the first question is more about your writing process that you mentioned earlier, but about how you were able to at the end of each chapter, how you were how you were able to keep the reader engaged
I see.
from chapter to chapter, basically.
Yeah. So the fluidity, and is it more about planning as well, AJ? Kind of pulling it all together. Is that where you're challenging?
Because I'm kindergarten, you're college level to me. So,
I love that.
So, and then the second question was about young consulting, or being a reader or reviewer for other people's work from your point of view as a young person.
All right, two very good questions. Number one, how I stay fluid throughout the chapters. I normally don't worry about fluidity too much when I'm working on my first draft, because the first draft is just to get the it's just the first draft is normally like just write whatever, not like whatever.
Just getting the ideas on the paper, right, Adam?
Yeah, basically, but in the form of a story. Right? I would worry about fluidity mostly while I'm editing. But of course, I wouldn't write like random stuff in the story that would make it like a mess. I'll try to write a good story, but if I see something isn't very fluid in the chapter, beginning and middle, whatever, I would not worry about it too much, make a few tweaks, but I wouldn't make any huge major changes unless it's absolutely necessary. And question, so does that answer your question for question number one?
It does.
Did your editor, Joanne Skye, also help you with any identifying those issues within your chapters in the arc? So each chapter has an arc, so does the overarching book. So do you feel like having an editor like Joanne helping to identify those issues has really been critical for you?
Without her, the level that the book is at now would not be where it is. Joanne helped me a lot. She was an amazing editor. She did very well with her suggestions and her advice. And, I humbled myself. I listened to her advice and I got it down, and I made the changes in the book that she told me. But of course, that she told me to do. But of course, if I had my own opinion on a suggestion that she had, I would politely discuss it with her. We would go over it, come to an agreement, and that would be that.
Mhm. Yeah. And I
So-
love that you were strong enough to tell her when you disagreed and that you had certain things that you wanted to get out of this. And even as a young man, you had like certain non-negotiables. Nope, I want to do it this way. And you were able to listen, but also assert yourself. And that's very rare for adults, never mind for an 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old.
And yeah, and AJ also asked whether I would want to review other people's books, be an editor, something like that. Something like that. So the simple answer is sure. Yeah, if anybody is interested in me being their like editor reviewing their book, or any writings or screenplay or anything. But I feel like I'm obviously not a professional when it comes to reviewing. So maybe at this age, maybe not. But throughout my writing career, I anticipate I'll gain more experience. And maybe I'll probably take on like a side job of being an editor for
Right.
others'
Well, it's
books.
not so much as an editor. What's the word I'm looking for? A reviewer in the sense of there's another word I'm looking for, but I just can't
Kind of
think.
like a beta reader, like
Beta reader.
somebody to
That's it.
give
Thank
you
you. That's exactly what I'm
a
thinking of.
kid's point of
Because
view on the
yes,
story.
that was the word I
Yeah.
was looking for. Because sometimes I'm wondering, for example, for mine, or am I being like I was trying to write the second this, and I'm wondering, okay, am I being too preachy? I don't want to talk down to someone who's younger. I don't want to think that like all these things that you want to make sure, and sometimes someone from that age group who can actually say, hey, this is not something I would be
Yeah, I
interested
don't
in,
think
or I
kids
feel like it's
my
talking down to
age
me.
would like this or
Yeah,
that, or
yeah,
here's what I do like, here's
right,
what I think, where I think you lost me. That kind of
yeah,
could be
yeah.
really valuable.
Yeah, so just think about it as a consultant in the future, if not anytime soon, because I know I'm starting to wonder. Okay, I definitely stopped writing yesterday just because I was wondering. Okay, this sounds like I'm starting to be preachy. Thank you.
Yeah, the answer is yes. I mean, I'd love to. Maybe not as a career because I'm interested in many other things, but I would definitely love to review books, if it's convenient for other people.
Nice, love that. So let's see if Jennifer says, Adam, you are definitely going places. You are so intelligent and well spoken and have accomplished so much already. Best wishes for you on your writing journey. Also, Josie's asking, Adam, what's the age group for your books? Your target age group.
The VIP Fruit series. Now, obviously, anybody can read it. Like, I don't care. Anybody can read it, any age group. But the target audience for me is similar to the age that I started writing the books.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was 8, I started writing VIP Fruits. I was targeting people like around my age because they have humor that's like mine. So like anywhere my age or under is these books are mainly for.
Nice. So Adam, what's next for you in your writing career? Do you have another series in mind?
He's talking to someone in the room. Somebody walked in on him. Okay.
Sister Box. So sorry.
That's okay. So I was just wondering what's next for you?
For my writing career, what's next for me is well, I'm moving on from the VIP Fruit series, and like I mentioned before, I feel like it's time that I start writing books that I want to stick to the fictional niche. You know, like adventure, things like that, creative, made up, somewhat unrealistic stories. stories that have less life lessons and that people can relate to, but that are like these books, but on a more mature level,
I love
like
that.
my age right now and up.
This is great. And I thank you so much for being here, Adam, and for sharing your story and inspiring us and others who are watching this on YouTube or on through video that we'll be, you know, putting out there. I'll also get part of it out for you also, in case you want to share on your social media and others as well on website. So thank you again. I'll let you go for now. We'll open it up for any other Q&A for self-publishing, and good luck with everything. Cannot wait to continue to support you in whatever comes next.
Thank you so much, Ms. Cox, for this opportunity. It's been a real pleasure. Not only this interview, but the others, and just working with you. So I just like to thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
Thank you, April. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you, Raina.
Thank you, April. Thank you,
All right.
everyone.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Take care.
All
Have a great
right.
day.
That's a hard act to follow, guys. But so let's just take a breath and just think about this amazing young man who started with just an idea and boredom that started his writing journey, right? You guys have amazing stories in you. And I think he is such an inspiration. And I hope that you can see that it's just one step. I love that recommendation from Adam. Just take the next step. It doesn't have to be big. It can be one step at a time. What other questions do we have on self-publishing? I am here to answer your questions, and let's see what we've got. Folks on YouTube also, if you are interested in joining us live. Hi, Matthew and Black Rose. Lots of praise for Adam. Thank you for that. How can I help you? Who's got a question?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Debbie.
Okay. In my book, one of my characters, he's a treasure hunter, but he wants to become like the guys from Oak Island. Can I use the name of their show in my book?
I wouldn't, because you don't want, you know, you can have a parody of it or some, you know, come up with some other name, but I would stay away from it, just because you don't want to get some kind of cease and desist or some kind of copyright issue and then have to unravel things in your story. So
that's what I was wondering.
How are you using it? Because maybe there's an opportunity to do something similar without naming that particular show.
Yeah, I think I can do something similar
Mm-hmm.
to that. So it would just be like, you know, when I grow up, I want to be like the guys on Oak Island. So.
Oh, okay. Or maybe just say on my favorite TV show or something like that.
Yeah.
Like my favorite superhero, or however that plays out. It's funny because when one of the authors, and it was another child author who was a child and parent team that worked together, and they had written a Christmas story and used Rudolph in it as like not the only character, but a character in it. And what happened is we found out that Rudolph is the red-nosed reindeer, right, is a copyright protected character. And they reached out, and initially they thought it would be fine to just mention Rudolph, and he was not a main character, so it was okay. Nope, they refused and so, you know, preparing for a Christmas story is hard enough as it is, but when you've got to unravel and retell your story differently because something like that happens, it can be a nightmare. So yeah, I would avoid it at this point.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And I see your note here about having or reaching out to Adam for as a beta reader. I think if Adam is still with us, perhaps he can post some information or his email address, and I might be able to do the same for him. I know that he would be fine with that. Let me find Adam Mussolini. I will post his email address, and you guys can feel free to reach out, give him some love and support, and follow him on social media. But yes, I think he would be an awesome beta reader as well. Okay. Let me see, what do we have here? Is anyone stuck right now, kind of spinning some wheels, and could use a little bit of a hand to get to kind of move forward? I have one question here from Matthew on YouTube. Does getting your book in a physical bookstore help much as an independent author? So I think it depends what your target audience is. And I always recommend that when you are starting your project to really hone in on what's your target audience and what are the goals that you have. I have some authors who, like me, started out writing stories for my grandchildren. So it's more of a legacy project. I really could care less at the time whether it got into a bookstore. If you're trying to get discovered and get your book into bookstores, then I would say if that's really important to you, you may want to start thinking about more distribution, getting a distributor. How do you get a distributor? How are you going to get noticed by distributors? And that can, so Matthew says his target audience is young adult superhero fans. So I like that. I like that a lot. And being able to compete with traditionally published books in the bookstore can be difficult because they're printing many thousands of copies. They have distributors that are selling and placing, publishers that are placing titles in bookstores like Barnes and Noble. So it is an uphill climb, but it's not out of the question. What I would say is focus on really connecting with your audience, focus on marketing to those bookstores, and making sure that you are making yourself known with especially local independent bookstores. Make sure that you have an opportunity to get, higher volume print copies. Some of the independent bookstores will not want print on demand books. They prefer offset print books, and they prefer that a distributor contacts them and that they order it from a distributor. So I'd say start making yourself known, introducing yourself, and asking some of those questions from the places that you want to get your book placed. Okay. Other questions? All right. All right. We have just a little bit longer here. I'm happy to go ahead, AJ.
I could have asked you this afterwards, but I was just wondering if you had a chance to see to ask the kids in your family about the illustration that I sent you.
So
and those illustrations that I said I needed opinions about the alligators. I was just curious if you ever had a chance to talk to them.
Yeah.
Not
So
hopefully in the next week.
yeah, I have not, but I will be able to do more with that. Kyrie had, my granddaughter had, softball and all kinds of stuff
Right.
this weekend that we were running around to. So,
They like.
thank you for the reminder. I will absolutely be sharing. And
Yeah, I'm thinking about
yeah,
also asking Adam about it.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, and your target age group though is more like 4 to 8, right?
Yeah, it
Because
actually is.
Adam's age, as a 12-year-old, it's
Okay.
harder for him to comment on how,
Mm,
how he likes the picture book side of things, although
right.
he's a lot closer to that age group than I
Yeah.
am. But
Yeah,
I think
definitely
if
one
you,
4 to
if you
9, 4 to
get
8 or
in,
9.
yeah, if you can get in front of kids that are in that target age group,
Mhm.
or reach out to maybe some of our fellow authors here in the group, then we should be able to put some things in front of some of the folks. And if you'd like to share some of those, and you want to just get some opinions from folks that are here or that see the information, it's completely up to you. I just want you to feel comfortable before you share that I know these are characters that are still in development. So just be careful with what you share and that you're
Yeah.
comfortable with
Yeah,
that.
since it's going on YouTube and it's not my drawings, I guess I'll wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Let me see. Other options. I will maybe one thing that I'll focus on is just thinking about how my process with my grandkids, and how currently my granddaughter and I are working on a new story as well, and how we've developed that story. We're still working through it, but there is a new book coming for the Christmas season. It's called A Little Labradoodle Christmas. And Kyrie, my granddaughter Kyrie, came up with the idea about it. There's a cat in the neighborhood that's like a gray, grumpy old cat that always, she always interacts with and tries to get friendly with. And so she was talking about this cat, and I was saying, it's time to start thinking about a Christmas book for my Labradoodle series. And she's like, well, what if Casper, the grumpy cat, what if we created a story with him and the Labradoodles? And so my focus with her was to kind of start thinking about, well, what would happen in the story? And I was working with her to talk about the story arc. So, stories have beginning, middle, and end, and there's action that happens and things that usually characters trying to do something and failing, or there's lots of things that are happening, and so you have to have a build up to that action, and then kind of a slow slope downwards. So, and I also talked through it with her. We need to make it satisfying. We don't want to leave anything open to suggestions. So as she started just brainstorming, I cut these big sticky pads, and I put things up on the wall, and we started she was drawing her ideas for the cat and the different parts. Like she put beginning, middle, end, and we were putting what does that look like? What kinds of problems does this grumpy cat have? And how does the little Labradoodles, how did they get involved? And what is the struggle here that we want to get through? What do you hope that people take from this book? And so just letting her provide me with those answers and start thinking about things and just asking a lot of questions. Do you think that people will be concerned about the fact that at the end of the book, you don't know what happened with XYZ, whatever it is. Oh yeah, that's right. We need to figure that out. And so she, you know, next week she'd come back and I think I got it. And we put that stuff together. So we started with a story sent over to Bobby Hinman, who's our editor. And Bobby started tweaking some things, coming up with some ideas. We sat and reviewed all of those. Kyrie was very adamant about certain things she wanted done a certain way. Other things she was like, oh, that's a great idea. I really love that. So it's so fun. Now, Kyrie is age 7 right now. Well, she's going on 8 in July. So we've been working on this for about a year together, kind of put a pause on it due to some other things that were pulling me away and pulling her away. Now we're back to it because I told her recently, if we don't get this wrapped up, we're not going to release it in time for Christmas. So not only did we finish the story, but passed it over to our illustrator. And the first peek at how the illustrator was translating the story came through a storyboard. First, we did character development, and Kyrie and I had a lot of fun using AI to generate different ideas for what this grumpy cat looked like. And then when we got it, and she yelled, "That's him!" I took that character and sent it over to the illustrator and said, "This is the grumpy cat, the new character." And I also said, you know, this is actually an illustrator who's brand new to my series. So we had to make sure that this illustrator was going to be able to do a good job with our characters that had been previously illustrated by two other illustrators in the series. So we kind of did some test illustration and things with that. And then got to the point where, yes, we selected the illustrator. Everything looks good. Then we get the storyboard back. So now Kyrie and I printed out the storyboard, which had our words and kind of rough sketches, beginning to end, the whole story and how they were translating our requirements, our notes, our ideas, and our story. So at this point, we spent this past weekend focusing a little bit on that, taking a look at it. And there were some things that, you know, oh, I don't know if that's really the best way to approach it. And it seems like once you get those illustrations, you start to like see those holes in the story, or that doesn't make sense, the way that the words, you know, and the pictures go together. So we're tweaking some things. I sent it back to my editor and said, I feel like there's something missing, but I can't put my finger on it. And I sent it to a few of my author friends and said, you have any ideas? Like, what's wrong with this? It's just not flowing the way that I want it to. So that's kind of where we are right now, is trying to get through that challenge. And then once we come up with what the final tweaks will be, we'll be sending it over for the illustrator to take it to the next level with the sketches and then move on to coloring. So given my typical timeline with them, it'd probably be maybe 6 weeks later, we should have the finished coloring of the story. And then it will go over to design, where the design and formatting will happen. We'll create a new cover and start to really think about marketing this and preparing for a pre-Christmas launch. So long story, but that kind of gives you an overview of, number one, encouraging kids and putting it together, but also on the process that you'll go through as an author, all the different steps. It's the writing of the manuscript, the editing of the book, and finding a professional editor is so important. Somebody who's really experienced with your genre, professional editor, not a friend or a professor, but somebody who has edited lots and lots and lots of books like yours. And then going through the illustration process and finding a good illustrator and developing your characters. And that whole process is just, it's my favorite part, because going in and opening your email when you've got something new from your illustrator is so much fun. It's like Christmas every day when that happens. So we get to kind of pull that together. And then as it moves to the design and formatting, then that is where that final look of what the book is going to look like, the cover design, all of that comes together. And then we'll be ordering proof copies and taking a look at how it all comes together. And then when it's published, the real big work begins on sales and marketing. Not that I'm beginning the sales and marketing process there. The fact that I'm talking about this book now is part of marketing, right? Just talking about it, letting people know about the process and that there is a book coming. So those things are really important. And each step of this process, especially when I put it in the hands of my illustrator, so they can move forward with coloring. Now I'll have 6 weeks of, okay, let's start stepping up the marketing. Let's start posting to social media about it and really moving a lot more of those things forward. So any questions on that whole process that we just went through? Any comments or questions? Jennifer says, what an awesome experience, and something that your granddaughter will remember. Yes, it's very special memory. The bonding is so much fun. Like, we laugh when we were generating these silly AI characters, and we talk about what we want the AI to come up with, and the crazy things it would spit out. I was like, oh no, that's nothing like it. And to have this, 7-year-old little girl all of a sudden learning how to use AI to generate things and to understand the concept of storytelling and to start talking about her story to other people. I've just really see so much happening, very similar to what I saw as Adam has progressed through the years. I'm seeing that with Kyrie, and I have 5 grandchildren. So Kyrie and I are writing this one, and I'm sure the other 4 will be like, okay, now me. I want to do my special book. And so Kyrie has a whole list of things that she wants to do. And she said her next one is going to be her own series. I want my own. I don't want to just write for your series, Nana. I want Kyrie's world and my Kyrie character. And she's going to write all kinds of stories that she thinks are fun and for girls like her, she said. So we'll see how that comes together. I hope you follow her journey. It is a lot. That's very true. There's a lot that goes into self-publishing. All right, let me see. What do we got here? Any other questions or comments? Hello, Tony. Nice to see you. All right. Well, I do hope that you will check in. We are just approaching the 9 o'clock hour, and I do expect that my social media manager, Anna, who is going to be leading a session right after mine, will be dialing in shortly and talking about all things social media to help with advertising and marketing your books. So I'm going to end the session here on the live stream, and we'll move forward and just get all set up with the social media stuff. So goodbye to those folks that are here with us on YouTube, and I will be seeing you soon. Come back on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern for open Q&A, and bring your questions, bring your friends, and do like and follow subscribe to Self-Publishing Made Simple with April Cox, and you will be notified whenever I go live on my live stream.